Good evening to you all, and thank you, Jan, very much for your only slightly hyperbolic introduction. I enjoyed it immensely, and I hope you don't change it ever. I'm very pleased to be here and more than distinctly honored by the first award of the first presentation of the Sarah Carey Award. Along with the forum and indeed the Young Leaders Network, I think this marks a forward advance in the work of the Eurasia Foundation and a milestone in the memory of Sarah, who was, I believe, as close to all of us who worked for the future of Eurasia as anyone else could be. I admired her leadership and her chairmanship of the foundation, and it was a pleasure to work with her and under her guidance as she moved the foundation ahead. But long years before I joined the board, Sarah, along with Bill Maines, was making progress for the future of Eurasia in unique and stimulating and very interesting ways. I think of many things that the foundation does which are unusual, which are important, and indeed which are committed in many ways to helping Russia and the countries of the former Soviet Union and the East European states to move ahead in the direction of the rule of law and transparency, and indeed many of the other values that we hold dear and that we know will be the heart of their adoption and indeed espousal and construction of creative democracy for themselves. This is at the heart of what the foundation does. The foundation, I think uniquely among all institutions around the world, not only has pursued a special goal of using small grants and loans, heavily originally funded by the United States government, to promote the development of the free press, of broader education, and of civic responsibility and values. But it has, over recent years, given birth to 5 daughter foundations, which are unique in the sense that they represent the best of what each of the countries that is participating in those foundations can bring to bear to the Eurasia model. They are freestanding. They are mainly of boards, led by boards of local people. They raise their own funds in the main. They set their own programs and goals. And they have, in each of the cases that I know of, prospered and grown over the years under fantastic local leadership. It is something to start a successful foundation. It's another thing to have a successful foundation found 5 others in foreign countries, in different atmospheres and in different sets of circumstances, which themselves are successful contributors to the growth and the goals of democracy and freedom, of independence and indeed of market responsibility in that part of the world. And Sarah deserves a great deal of the credit, along with Bill, for making all of this happen. And as a board member of the Eurasia Foundation for the last umpteen years, I am very, very proud of those accomplishments of the foundation. We will long remember Sarah. She was unique in many ways in her attachment to Russia, into what could be done to work and stimulate the future of that country. She wrote a remarkable letter on the 50th anniversary of her graduation from Radcliffe to her fellow classmates. And one short line struck me. She said, "I had the privilege to participate in another country's revolution." And indeed she did. In many of the talents that Sarah brought to her work, as someone who helped to structure new legal enterprises to work in Russia, and indeed working with Russians, developed much of the basic law on that subject. She deserves credit alone for those contributions. And so it is for me a source of great pride and real pleasure, more than I can possibly convey to you tonight, Jan, and to the board for this award. It also was a special pleasure and privilege for me to be asked, when I was given the award, if I would nominate a Russian organization that I thought well of to share the award with me. I had not to think for very long. Indeed, to choose the Moscow School of Political Studies, with which I have been associated for some years and with which a number of my colleagues as ambassadors have been familiar and have been strongly supportive. It was founded in 1992 by a remarkable woman, Lena Nemirovskaya. And Lena had the vision to believe that she could found a school in Russia that would train the political and economic and business and social leaders for the future in ways that would mark their respect for the rule of law, for transparency, for market economics, and for civil responsibility. She's had over 10,000 graduates placed all over Russia in local parliaments and indeed in government offices, in important responsibilities in the business community, all accepting the values that she taught and indeed the nature of the new civic responsibility, which we all hope will continue to drive change in Russia. Lena is with us tonight. She was coming in a regular visit to the United States. She sends here each year groups of Russian students to spend 2 weeks with us to know and understand and appreciate how and in what way we address the problems that face them. And I am delighted that Lena has joined us. And I would ask Lena, please, if you would stand up so that we can greet you with a round of applause. Lena, my congratulations to you and to the Moscow School. It was terrific that we could have this joint honor together, and I am very pleased and proud to be part of it. It is also something of a joy for me to see tonight so many people who care so much about the Eurasia Foundation. Anything which is an inspired gift of government has rarely achieved the kind of civic and popular support that the Eurasia Foundation has found. Not only the United States government, but other governments around the world have been consistent and strong supporters. But many of you here tonight also represent industry, personal commitment, and indeed long attraction to the notion that Russia and the United States will have a strong and great future together as we find ways to assist our friends in Russia to develop their own future along the lines that we ourselves respect and the principles that we enjoy and uphold. I'm very pleased tonight as well that an old friend and a very strong colleague, Bill Burns, has come to speak to us with our keynote address, which he will deliver shortly. Bill has been an exemplary member of the American Foreign Service. He and John Negroponte are both two deputy secretaries out of the career service who have achieved that highest rank in the State Department and led its work strongly and well. I'm pleased and proud that Bill followed me in my first post as the successor there with a few years remove, and my last post in Russia as well. There is no one better qualified and no one that I believe is more interesting and more able to address the difficult and indeed trenchant and challenging problems of American foreign relations than Bill Burns. And Bill, I am very pleased and proud that you took time out of what I know is a harassing and impossible schedule to join us here tonight, just not for the speaking, but to enjoy the dinner. So thank you, Bill. Thank you to all of you for your kindness in saying such nice words to me this evening. I have to tell you that the video was marvelous. I hope to be able to enjoy it in the future. And I want to tell you that the State Department has promised that my 5 stars are truly in the mail this year.